many ways, the government has often hinted that, the budget is not where they would like to make announcements in a single day. They may want to stagger them over the year, and therefore the expectation from the budget has to be tempered down. Do you believe that that is something that India Inc. hasn't come to terms with yet?
Well, I guess we've learned it the hard way. But having said that, like I said earlier, we understand that there are political requirements, given the current scenario. And going forward, we believe that like I said earlier, the finance minister will have to have, it has to be a very well-balanced act, given that, given the current state of the economy, given the expectation of a populist budget as well. I think it's a tough walk for him.
Tough walk for him. Puneet Dalmia, someone would want to admit and say, why should India Inc. be understanding of such high political considerations? Why should India Inc. pay the price for a populist budget? Do you think that it's time that India Inc. raises these issues by saying, look at inflation, do something about it, create supply-side measures, including in sectors like cement, so that your prices are under control?
I think the reality is we have no choice. So I think we are a democracy. We elect the government, and then we have to live with the consequences of that government. Personally, I think just attacking the government on everything will not solve the problem.
Yeah. And
I think the industry and the government have to partner to solve India's problem.
Instead of giving long budget wish lists, as we all are hoping to have at the end of this show, Vivek, is there really enough incentive in place for India Inc. to step outside their hunger for the bottom line?
Well, as Puneet said, I don't think they have too much of a choice here.
Yeah.
I think experience has shown that in sectors where government has stepped back and where corporate enterprises have taken on a more active role, those sectors have seen better use of money and better deployment of resources.
Yeah.
So I think it's a given, if India is to develop, that the government finds the good golden mean on where it must intervene and where it must not. And that by implication means that India Inc. has to step forward.
One logic that the FM and very number of economists have discussed in the past is start levying surcharge. Because the minute you put this under a taxation fold, you think surcharge or an education cess. Do you think these are things that need to exist beyond a point for India Inc. to be forced to participate?
I think direct involvement of corporates in activities is much more efficient than surcharge.
Okay.
I'm not quite so sure as to when a surcharge gets accumulated in a government pool, what is the efficiency of deployment of that fund pool?
Okay.
So either that fund pool then gets channeled back where private sector can use some portion of that or can be funded to do certain activities, or I think the government needs to do what it is best doing. And not focus on.
But that's when everyone cribs about the fiscal deficit, the minute we go down to that, go down that road. But let's get Suman Sinha. Suman, a political story that will unfold will be part of this budget. Precariously positioned, yes. But what do you think UPA's philosophy is on empowering the common man and allowing more interaction between corporates and society to get what would be the best of both worlds?
No, look, I don't think the finance minister has a choice. Those programs have to be financed because, as you observed, they are very fundamental to the UPA's core philosophy around spending for certain sections of society. So I think the finance minister has to fund them. As far as I think corporate India is concerned, we don't really have any issue with that per se, because clearly we have to make sure that the malnourished are fed and people are provided education as they should. The issue really is only around the utilization of that money. And, if you're spending 100 rupees and only 20 rupees are going into the pockets or into the final end use, then that's a problem. So the government really needs to give us better clarity on and transparency on the way this money is being spent without needlessly just getting the allocations to keep going up. So I think if we can just do something on that, improve the administrative machinery, I think that is really where the concern lies more than anything else.
Dipinder Singh, there is always talk about how young leaders should probably take charge in a big way. Do you anticipate what Sumant is saying is really where the crux of the problem is, that we need more execution visible? And I imagine companies like Tulip Telecom and others such in the tech and telecom space are really well poised to garner some effort and probably even raise funds in it. Put out there a telecom story that can bridge education and the contribution of corporate India.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, in fact, today I'm here in our data center where we have about 80 of senior government officials having a look at what we've built here in Bangalore. And the fact of the matter remains that one has to have a very, very clearly defined execution methodology, and that needs to be measured very, very transparently. Networks like the ones we create actually enable exactly that. There are statewide area networks that we've created where some of the younger and the more bolder CMs are actually getting on video conferencing and actually speaking to collectors literally on a weekly basis. And it is things like these that is going to really differentiate the way government is going to function.
Okay, just on to the final round of questions. We were talking about populist or not, but one important thing we all look forward to, even as young people ourselves, is that will the FM give us more money at the end of this budget? Let's start with you. What is the taxation expectation?
So I don't think this is a budget where the government would be very keen to give money back to either corporate India or to the common man.
Okay, quick answer from you, Puneet.
I think I'm not so much worried about if the government gives 10,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees to everybody, but as much as at least the hunger problem in this country needs to be solved. There are 50,000 crores which goes into public distribution system every year, and about 6 to 7 million tons of grain gets wasted every year.
Yeah.
And about 6 to 7 crore people go hungry every year. If you just calculate this, just the amount of wastage, if that can be curtailed to the point Sumant was making earlier,
yeah,
the hunger problem can be solved.
Final word to Sumant Sinha. Are we getting too high on expectations and we're likely to see what would be an under-promised budget, an underperforming budget?
I think that this government has successfully been able to drive expectations from the budget lower year on year. So I think, I don't think that expectations are that high any longer. I think we also all realize that a lot of things can be done through the course of the year. Of course, the fact that they don't get done means that the budget ends up being the policy document of the government where you finally hope that something will come out. And that is the expectation this year as well. So let's hope for the best.
Okay, let's hope. And everyone's leaving the mantle now for the Finance Minister. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate your time. That's a wrap on Budget and India Inc.